Yo, what's up guys? Mike here, coming at you from the mushroom farm, and I got a great video for you guys tonight. So tonight's video is going to be about lion's mane mushrooms. So this is a lion's mane mushroom, and we're going to talk specifically about what I think is the best substrate to cultivate the lion's mane mushroom on, the Hericium erinaceus. Now, I've been growing the lion's mane mushroom nearly 10 years as my full-time job, okay? I've actually grown thousands of pounds of the lion's mane mushroom over the years. So take a look right here. Here's a few shots of some of my previous lion's mane grows. And some of the times I brought lion's mane to the farmer's market. But I've got a lot of experience cultivating the lion's mane mushroom and just mushrooms in general. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now if you want to get more mushroom and farming videos like this in the future. We have over 200 videos on mushroom cultivation on this channel now. So this is a great resource for mushrooms and mushroom cultivation. And like I said, tonight we're going to go over what I think is the best substrate to cultivate the lion's mane mushroom on. Now, I'm standing my new farm out here in western Colorado, okay? I've tried many different substrates, and I do have a favorite, okay? I have one that I truly think is the best, that's going to basically give you your best yields for the money you're going to spend and the time you're going to invest as far as making your blocks and just maintaining the farm, because you got to think about that too. You really want to try to make your blocks yield as best as you can, because you have to pay the utility bills like the heating and cooling costs to just operate your building, support these blocks throughout their entire incubation phase. You have to think about the grow room, because you're only going to be able to get so many blocks in your grow rooms. So there's really a lot to consider when it comes to selecting the substrate, just to make sure you make the perfect lion's mane mushroom block, okay? So you want to make sure you're just achieving the best yield you possibly can per square foot, per mushroom bag, when you're dealing with these things, honestly, just to maximize your whole facility. So anyway, what is the best substrate? I'm going to tell you guys, I use 60-40 masters mix, okay? Sawdust or wood pellets, 60%, and soybean hulls, okay? Now, I just want to say too, I'm going to break this down a little bit. I'm going to talk to you guys about other alternative substrates that I have used. I'm going to tell you guys how much better this sawdust and this soybean hull does compared to some of the alternative substrates that I've used, and then some of the results I've seen other growers get with some alternative substrates as well. This is specifically with the lion's mane mushroom, okay? Now anyway, first let's talk about the sawdust aspect or the wood aspect of the whole substrate mixture. Okay, now let's just talk about the whole sawdust aspect or wood aspect of the substrate mixture. A lot of people have asked me too, am I using hardwood, softwood, all sorts of stuff? So I'm gonna let you guys know, okay? I'm gonna like kind of break the rules a little bit right here, okay? But I'm being completely honest with you, okay? So when I first started cultivating the lion's mane mushroom, okay, like I said, nearly 10 years ago now that I've been growing the lion's, I've been growing it 8 years actually full time as my job. So anyway, when I first started doing this, I was using hardwood pellets, okay? So I would go get those wood burning pellets, and I would just use hardwood pellets, okay? It just said hardwood on the bag, basically. I didn't know exactly what was in there, okay? But I was coming from southern Illinois, southern Missouri area, in the Midwest. So there could be all sorts of different hardwood trees that could be composed of. But that's what I was using the first few years, okay? Now I want to say I used straight hardwood pellets for like 2 to 3 years, okay? And then I made a change, okay? And it was actually a really good change. And I'll tell you guys what happened and everything, because I've had great results since I've actually switched away from the hardwood, because I'm actually using softwood now, okay? I switched to softwood after about 2 to 3 years of me growing the lion's mane mushroom. And I'll tell you why, okay? So there was that one time in history when there was like kind of a pandemic type situation, supply chain shortages, lots of things were shutting down, and I was using the hardwood pellets, okay, and I was actually kind of a new cultivator, okay. I had only been growing 2 or 3 years, so I was getting there. I was actually really starting to do really good. That's when you start to get pretty good. I kind of feel like 2 to 3 years in this is when you start to get pretty good, to tell you the truth, and really consistent. But anyway, so there was no hardwood pellets available, so I just had to kind of use what I had there, and they had softwood. So, and this was my full-time job at the time. I really didn't have a choice. So it was like, here we go, do or die, man. We're just going to test it for science. So Anyway, I started making my bags with softwood pellets, and I'll just say, at first, I didn't care at all about like if it was going to yield good. I didn't care at all about like the preparation, like how the pellets actually work when you're using them, because there's a difference. I'll tell you guys, it's kind of cool. I was just mainly concerned, am I going to be able to get this thing to fruit, okay? And I'll just say, first of all, they absolutely fruited, okay? And they did phenomenal. Look, here's the pictures. So this is the kind of grows you get using softwood pellets, okay? I've been using softwood for lion's mane for about the last 5-6 years, okay? So if you guys go to my Instagram too, and you just click down in the description box below, my Instagram is linked there. The last 5 to 6 years of me growing lion's mane mushroom, it's all softwood pellets, okay? Now, a lot of people are going to comment or ask too below in the comment section, Mike, like what kind of softwood? And I'll just say, guys, I don't know. I'll just say it kind of depends on the region. There's definitely probably pine mixed in there. Here in the softwood that I get in western Colorado, it's mainly composed of aspen, okay? So if I go get softwood pellets here, a lot of times it's going to be aspen, and there may be some pine mixed in too, and this and that. Now, I want to also say, I personally have not used pine pellets, okay? I think his name is Joseph Ioviano or something like that. It's kind of like Italian name or something. I don't know, man. But he grows a lot of really good lion's mane as well. And I want to say he has used, I believe he's used pine pellets before, okay? And he gets great results as well. And I want to say I've heard this on other channels, but I just have not personally used the pine, so I can't comment on like what 100% pine pellets would do because I haven't tried it. I may have to trial it now here just for the channel, just to give you guys some results and see what happens. And honestly, I should just go ahead and do it. I'll pick up, the next time I'm at the Tractor Supply, I'll pick up a bag of pine pellets and give it a shot, because it's kind of like another hack that I've heard. I've kind of heard if you cannot source wood pellets, Tractor Supply always has horse bedding, okay? And that's typically pine, a lot of times is what that is in the pellet form. And I have yet to try that, but like I said, I'll trial it and just see what kind of results we can get. But the wood pellets that I've personally been using has always been softwood, okay? And like I said, right now, a lot of the stuff out here in western Colorado is aspen. So I'm growing a lot of my lion's mane in here on aspen right now, okay? So Mike, what's the benefit of hardwood compared to softwood then? Because like, I'm sure you guys have always heard over the years, hardwood is like the way to go. If you read like any Stamets book, I'm pretty sure it always says like hardwood is the way to go. So this kind of stuff has been kind of like ingrained in our heads, you know, through the mycology literature over the years. And like I said, I just trialed the softwood because I was in a situation where I was like, I couldn't source the hardwood, so I didn't really have a choice, and I had to go that route, and I found better results. Now, what kind of better results did I find? Okay, so I found better results in my growing method. So I grow basically like one and done, first flush. Every once in a while I'll do some second flushes, you guys know, but most of the time I'm always taking that first flush. What I kind of noticed is your first flush is always extremely heavy with softwood pellets for sure, but colonization, okay, I noticed in incubation, I feel like incubation is also slightly faster, that you will just see the mycelium basically consume it, boom, kind of like all of a sudden, and you got that whole blocking case. I want to say probably my favorite benefit though of the softwood pellets, even just beyond that, is when you're doing prep, like when you're actually making the bulk substrate and you dump the hot water. I use hot water too. Had another subscriber basically comment below too. I'm going to try not to get too off topic, but when I make my bulk substrate, when I'm using pellets, I hydrate with hot water because it puffs everything up super fast. Okay, and I'll make a video specifically on that because I have a tankless hot water heater here, and you can crank that sucker up, really get a nice hot temp, and get those pellets to puff up really, really fast. So that's like just a tip in general. But kind of back to the topic here, softwood compared to hardwood, even if you were to use cold water, the softwood would like puff up in the bag when you're actually making the bags much faster, so you can load it into your steam vessel or your atmospheric steamer a lot quicker, and I feel like you can just streamline the process really easy. You can obviously still streamline it with hardwood even if it's taking a little longer to hydrate, but with that softwood, when it puffs up so fast, you can almost like immediately load it. You can pretty much make like 4 bags with a bagging unit that bags within just a couple seconds, and by the time you get done with that 4th bag, that first bag is usually ready to get loaded as long as you've used softwood pellets and hot water. Puffs up super fast. Okay, so now, like I said, softwood, 60%, soybean hull pellets, 40%. That is my favorite recipe for lion's mane. Now, I've trialed all sorts of other stuff too. So I've trialed straight grain, okay, and I did that with my low-tech lion's mane method. You can check that out. That's linked down in the description box below. One thing I want to clarify, as I was editing this video, I realized I said straight grain, okay, and I just want to clarify that it was basically unsupplemented sawdust, and I just essentially overspawned it. So I basically took sawdust and I put about 30 to 33% grain and about 70 to 67% or so sawdust in there, and that was my bulk substrate. And that's probably maybe my second favorite method, okay? And I'll say it's similar to kind of like what Mossy Creek is doing with his bulk substrate. He's using basically, I think, like 30% oats and sawdust. And it's basically the same thing that he's using for spawn. Kind of like basically a super spawn or whatever, where it's oats and sawdust. So anyway, I kind of did a similar thing with my low-tech lion's mane grow, where I basically just had wood pellets and millet that I kind of overspawned my bag of wood pellets with millet. And that's basically all I did on that low-tech lion's mane grow. And I just did that kind of for fun when I was building the farm here before I got my new sterilization, my atmospheric steamer built. I wanted to do something for the channel. But it actually gets you pretty good results. And it's kind of cool because you're just using pellets, wood pellets, and grain. So that would probably be my second choice, okay, for what the best substrate would be. Now, moving on to third, fourth, and just stuff I wouldn't use. So I trialed horse feed, okay? I want to say I had mixed results on the horse feed, okay? Some of the stuff was pretty good. I was basically going to Tractor Supply, and I was getting this straight 12% crude protein horse feed, okay? And I was mixing it up, basically making my substrate 30% or 33% horse feed for the most part is what I was using. And I got great results with Hericium americanum, but I got really mixed results with the lion's mane. Some of my blocks did pretty good, but some of them I was like, man, it was kind of like one of those things. Sometimes it would take 2 10-pound lion's mane blocks that I used, like the horse feed supplement, to equate to 1 sawdust and soybean hull block. So it was almost like reduced in half, okay? I noticed a pretty big difference. On some of the 5-pound blocks, it wasn't as noticeable, but I'll just say on a smaller bag of substrate, you have a better biological efficiency anyway. So there might have been some different things going on just because of that. But I will just say personally on my 10-pound blocks, I was not impressed at all with the horse feed and the lion's mane, okay? Now I want to say wheat bran. There's a lot of wheat bran in that horse feed too, okay? I didn't do any straight wheat bran bags for lion's mane just because I didn't get any good results really, knowing that the horse feed did have a significant amount of wheat bran in it, so I didn't really want to try it. But I will say what Hericiums did do good. The Hericium americanum does do fairly well on wheat bran or anything like the horse feed. It did fine. Now, I know a couple of it, like Mossy Creek had trialed dog food. I've never trialed the dog food, so I don't know how that would be. I would like to trial some stuff, different stuff like that, just for fun. But typically, you're just trying to achieve like a 3 to 4%. I always shoot for like a 4% crude protein if I'm using some like alternative supplement for my substrate. But I just want to let you guys know, overall, I was not impressed with like the horse feed or wheat bran, because like I said, it is mainly composed of wheat bran for lion's mane. It does good for Americana. I had some oyster mushrooms do pretty good on it, but I don't really want to recommend it for lion's mane. Another thing that I don't want to recommend for lion's mane cultivation, I get asked this a lot, is straw. Like, can I use straw to cultivate the lion's mane mushroom? And you can, but your results are probably going to be the worst results you can get out of any substrate you could potentially use to cultivate the lion's mane mushroom. So I wouldn't suggest using straw. And I even think I had subscribers utilizing straw for lion's mane. And I'm not knocking you guys at all, man. You know, because sometimes you just got to use what you got available and you just try stuff. And I'll even say way back in the day when I first started, like 8 to 10 years ago, I had read that you could cultivate lion's mane with straw. And I had called up and I was ordering spawn a long time ago, and I was working with Mushroom Mountain, okay? And Olga, I believe, owns Mushroom Mountain now. It was Olga and Trad before, and I think they've separated and everything like that, but I think Olga runs it now. And I actually dealt with her way back when I was buying the spawn, and she told me over the phone way back then, she was like, oh no, don't try to cultivate lion's mane mushroom on straw. And I was like, really? I thought I read online, and I had read on like the shroomery or something like that you could cultivate lion's mane on straw. And here's the thing, like, you can do it, but it's just really bad results. So she set me straight like years ago. So I learned back then, and I just want to kind of set anyone straight that's kind of tuning into this video nowadays. Like, don't try to do it. It's not worth it. I've seen some of the results some guys have gotten doing like straw in 5-gallon buckets or something and trying to cultivate lion's mane on it, but the yields are just super subpar, and it's not even really worth it in my opinion. You're definitely much better off just working with wood pellets, just doing that super low-tech method that I was talking about, just wood pellets and grain. If you can't source soybean hulls, I would do that before I would try some of those other substrates. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about the lion's mane mushroom, tell you guys what I think the best substrate is. Just to kind of tell you guys again, 60-40 masters mix, wood pellets, I use softwood, and 40% soybean hull. But that is my favorite recipe to grow the lion's mane mushroom on. But anyway, if you guys have any questions about this, just drop it down below in that comment section. If you guys have any videos you guys want me to make, just drop that down below in the comment section too. And that's really all I got for you on this one, man. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful and informative. If you did, please drop this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But that's all I got for you on this one, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.